Hello, everybody. So good to see you all. We've got people in from down south in Hobart. We've got you here from Perth. Hi, Kate. Deb up from Brisbane. Rachel over in Griffith. It's so exciting. I hope it's not too damp over in the west at the moment. You guys have been having a bit of a tough time. So today, welcome. I'm so excited to get into another seasonal secrets. I do these every 3 months. And I really like starting the season with a bit of a on the pulse of what's actually happening, either globally, on the interwebs, where most of us have parts of our businesses or parts of our lives, as well as what's happening from an energetic perspective. So I take into account a lot of what's happening with the moon and astrology, as well as the feeling of what happens in the entrepreneurial cycle. So I talk a lot about this in my book, Unrestricted, and I really love teasing it out so that we have like a bit more of a plan moving into the next part of summer here in the Southern Hemisphere. If you're listening or you happen to be sharing this with somebody from the Northern Hemisphere, I just want you to take into consideration that we've got, I'll give you a bit of an overview of what's going on, and take into account the things that might be happening for you in the colder months and how you might want to be with the energies of that. The same stuff is still coming up for each month, and I'm going to go through each month with you and the energies of what you might want to keep an eye out for and what might be coming up, and what you can leverage, especially from a business perspective. Alrighty, so everyone's got me clean and clear. It's so good to see you all from all sorts of parts of particularly Australia, from what I can tell. All right, let's have a look. Let's do a little. Alrighty. So, welcome. We are in Seasonal Secrets of Summer in the Southern Hemisphere for 2023. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the original custodians of the land on which I come to you from today, the Awabakal people. It is beautiful country, and right now it is going into sunset, and so the colours change, and in summer, the direction of the sun changes to highlight some of the other wetlands that we don't usually pay a lot of attention to in other parts of the year. I acknowledge their elders, past, present, and emerging, and their continued custodianship of country for the past 60,000 years plus. And I am honoured to be able to come from here to you guys, wherever you happen to be. I invite you to pay your respects, or even if you aren't aware of the land on which you get to play and work, tap into it. There's something about knowing your roots, knowing the energy of the space that you come from. It can permeate through your work in all sorts of different ways. It doesn't have to be all and end all, but it's definitely something to be respected. Alrighty. Like I said before, the content that I am sharing with you today, the core content comes from my book, Unrestricted, and you can buy it online in all your major bookshops. Or you can grab it there on tammyguest.com/book. This first section is the core element of how I create more flow in my business and how I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of other small to medium enterprise businesses, particularly clinicians, coaches, and creatives, get into flow and get out of burnout and continue to make the longevity of their business something that works within their lifestyle. So, what are we going to talk about today? Flow state. Have you ever felt flow? This year, I have been talking to so many more practitioners. I've been talking to so many more creatives that have noticed when they are in flow, because it's starting to come back. You know, we've all had these 2 years of slow flow, let's say, and some people have had the odd occasion where they've felt flow in those moments. But it is coming back with more frequency now. There's moments where things that we were doing before the pandemic years we know they aren't working anymore. And we know that there are things that we've picked up through the time that create a zone of flow. And a zone of flow is defined by a deeply focused, beyond distraction kind of element to it. So your attention is taken to the present moment and isn't taken away by anything else. Time tends to slow down. You lose track of time when you find yourself in a flow state. Your senses are heightened and you start to notice things that are in the peripheral. And there's an action awareness. Even though you're in action, there's an awareness of other things that are around you. So I get into flow state. Um, my favorite flow state is when I'm flying a helicopter, because that is total flow. I am so focused. I could be flying for hours, except for me checking in on the fuel gauge. And my senses are heightened. I used to feel it the same way when I was with clients as a naturopath. And I definitely get this when I'm presenting and facilitating at my retreats. Time just disappears. We could be in a moment holding space, and all of a sudden it's the afternoon, and we've had a transformational event happen, but we were so in it, so focused, so in the moment, that flow continued to take us where we needed to go. Who here has felt flow? And tell me where you have felt flow. Hey, CJ. Hey, Vesna. Hey, Elle. Is there something you feel flow in? My hubby loves mountain biking. So he feels flow when he's mountain biking. I'm not quite there yet, especially I'm actually post-surgery. So mountain biking for me is a little less flowy as to what it used to be. Elle, when you're designing sites, I have seen you in your flow state, particularly with the elements of design in particular, the colors, the fonts, the this, the that, it all just seems to disappear. Excellent. Who else is in flow? And it doesn't have to be in your business. I want you to consider and feel into, what does it feel like to be in flow? Drafting contracts, Michelle. Oh, Michelle is our resident lawyer, and she has a very unique set of gifts and talents. And being able to have flow and detail flow out of you is not my jam, but it's so wonderful to see somebody embrace their jam. So what is your jam? Cindy, drawing birds. Oh, I love that. We've got another person in our midst who actually has birds, and playing with her birds is something that keeps her in flow. Sharon working on a pottery wheel. Ooh, and reading legislation. We've got another legal eagle here. Excellent. Choreographing. Natalie, wow, how fascinating. Kate, singing and hiking. Oh, who else has nature elements there? Especially in big, long walks, that flow state, time can totally disappear. I hear you, Kate. Deb, reading. A good book really gets you going, doesn't it? When you're in that, especially us learners, people who are really, or mavens in the sparketypes that I use with my clients. We love to absorb and be in the story and the research. I love that, Deb. Well done. Beautiful. All right, so flow state, we know what it is, right? How do we cultivate it more and more in our lives moving forward? How can we not be pushing poo uphill all the time? And that's what I'm here to kind of give you some signposts on for this season that's coming up, that is summer. All right, beautiful. Love your work, guys. All righty. So what else do we have going on? This is the core crux of the first or second chapter of my book. And it comes from, it's got its basis in a lot of different teachings and trainings. And Roger Hamilton in particular kind of cornered the entrepreneurial cycle. And I've taken that and overlaid it with the natural elements, given my background is in naturopathy and also in the sciences of the body and how it interacts with the natural environment. Then how does that show up in our business? And one of the reasons I created it was because I was seeing so much burnout personally, and I was seeing it in my colleagues, and I was also seeing it in my clients. And it was when we weren't acknowledging that there was a natural cycle and that we could work in flow with that natural cycle, that burnout continued to happen because we weren't acknowledging that nature is nature and we could go with it or we could just push against it. And so when you start to recognize that in your business there is a natural flow and a natural tendency, in entrepreneurship there is, when you're creating a new product, a new whether it's tangible or a new service, you're going to go through this process, and we can apply it to the natural elements and time ourselves as well. So if we take from, say, midnight, if we're looking at this as a clock phase, from midnight to 3 o'clock is the create zone, and it has a spring vibe to it. Spring is when the buds start to come out and we're coming up with a new idea. We're creating from scratch. We have the opportunity to kind of plan out where that branch is going to go or where that vine is going to be taken, right? So spring elements are that create zone. When it comes to your business, the spring that we've just had, often people that I help either in the creative zone, and they're noticing an increase in the amount of people that are creating websites. We're noticing an increase in the amount of people who are starting up podcasts as well. And we're also noticing how people want to get out and about in a way that they weren't before. Maybe it's pulling along a new course or some other new way of actually being online or being in their life. And bringing out with the idea and then creating it and then creating a plan is the main 3 steps for that zone. Then we go into the connect zone. Once you've got that idea or that website or that course, you then have to share it, right? It goes out into the world, and whether that connection part between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, that connecting is between you and somebody like Elle who creates websites, or it is and a staff member or a project, a person who's working on the project with you, or it is connecting with a community of people, reconnecting with your email list, reconnecting with your community online or in person through workshops and other things. What you're doing is sharing your message and sharing your marketing in a way that shines a light on what you do and shines a light on how it can help people. And so that's the summer vibe, and we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper in the rest of this training. After summer and in that entrepreneurial cycle, we then go into the offer. So my ginkgo tree that I got from my parents for my graduation gift as a naturopath, every year it goes through this. It buds, a couple of weeks ago it budded. And I thought, oh goodness, thank goodness it came back again, because it goes into this weird stick-like shape. The buds come out and I get, oh, phew, I didn't kill it this year. And then the summer vibes come out, and here, I don't know where you are, but it's been quite late this year because the jacarandas have only just come out here on the east coast of Australia. And the jacarandas are generally a little earlier than this. The Jacaranda Festival is often nearly a month earlier. And so the same thing happened with my ginkgo tree. The leaves started to come out as that summer, they were radiating, they were getting all that light out, similar to what we do in our businesses. And then autumn, after summer hits, those leaves are going to turn yellow. My ginkgo tree turns yellow, and it just lets go. So it's offering just lets go. But to do that in a business sense, you have to have your pricing, your platforms, and your processes ready so that you can let that offer out into the world, because it's got to be caught somewhere. And similar to the ginkgo that naturopaths use as tea, we have to catch the offering. People have to catch the offering and see it for what it is, and then go through the process of paying you for it and the value exchange, and then the entrepreneurial cycle continues. Then we go into the review and renew cycle, which is that winter vibe. Review and renew is a great time to focus in on what you can celebrate, what's happened in the year, what worked in that idea that you created, that you took to market, that you sold one or 1,000 of, and what worked, what didn't work, and let go of the things that didn't work with love, and course correct. And that's that opportunity that a lot of people don't take, and I personally wasn't taking. I would skip this bit. I wouldn't go reviewing anything. I wouldn't go for a feedback form. I wouldn't celebrate. I would just go into the next thing. has us all in lockdown, nice and quiet, and being quiet for a long period of time. So what we want to do is we want to get that energy moving again in our businesses, and hopefully it's kicked off with the past spring, and now we're going to talk about the summer element. All right. I want to do a bit of an overall themes that we're seeing in the entrepreneurial world, and I did this last time in the Spring Secrets session, and especially the practitioner people who were listening started to really notice that, I mentioned that long COVID was in the news. It was being covered by a lot of media outlets. It was prevalent in so many clinics, and one of our listeners turned an arm of her clinic into specifically a long COVID clinic. It was available as telehealth, which was another thing in these world themes that I talked about, and how the use of telehealth and how prevalent it is now and will continue to be in the future. And also the personalization element. And we're going to talk a bit more about that today too. But so and that part of her business has gone gangbusters, and it's helped so many people. So when I talk about the world themes, it's what's coming up right now and what is going to come up for 2023, not just for summer. But I want you to consider how it might apply to your business, how it might apply to your newsletter, how it might apply to what you could do to leverage something in your business to make the most of the themes that are coming out. You can actually jump on these before it becomes a huge thing. So, and it's only if it gels with you. Anything that I say today, whether, if it resonates with you, awesome, take it on board. If it feels a bit sticky, I want you to lean in and think, why is it sticky? Is there something in here for me? But if you know full well that this isn't your jam, that's okay. Leave that bit and see if you can find a golden nugget for you. All right. So, our relationship with technology is changing. You guys might have seen my recent post on socials. And one of my things that I get sticky about is the whole concept of AI. AI can be used as a really powerful tool, but at the moment, my whole feed is full of very strange alien-like versions of my friends with 10 scrolls to get all of the different pictures of their fairy version, their avatar version, their cult leader version. They're really and you may have done this too, and it might be just a little bit of fun for you, and it might be helpful for your business. You might be somebody who does moon things, tarot things, archetypal things, and it might work for you, and it might give you a really easy, cheap way of presenting yourself in a different format and getting across a teaching point for the people that you help. And it might be an exploration for you on your identity. But what I'm seeing is just a trend, and everybody seems to happen to get onto it, when my values and what I stand for is being authentic and in integrity. And so part of that is me showing up as truly me. So for me, the AI element that I'm seeing isn't necessarily the photo one, although there is a lot of AI coming out at the moment that does photos. The new Photoshop that Adobe has just brought out can AI and tweak your videos. It can also AI and tweak your content. So for content creators, this is a really powerful tool, especially if you're spending a lot of time trying to market on social media. And also, if you are writing blog posts, if you're writing sales pages and things like that, there is so many current AIs. Often it'll end in .io, the websites to use AI technology. And it utilizes and gets data from wherever you give it data from. And that comes with some cybersecurity issues itself. But if you're giving it your whole website to go and have a look at, and then it starts to recognize how you put sentence structures together, what information, what are your keywords, and that kind of stuff, it becomes a much more simple, quicker, easier, and cheaper way of actually running that content creation side of your business. Not only that, AI has so many other things that it can do. It has Yeah, I'd just like to say that your relationship with tech is changing, and our relationship as a population with tech is changing. You might also see that millennials and Gen Zs aren't actually utilizing Google as much as a search engine. Often the shopping, so there's a lot of data at the moment, especially for the end of 2022, that uh, they are using the capacity of social media to actually make their buying purchases. They'll even put in and search the hashtag or the at gosh, I feel really old saying that, the tag, to be able to find what they're looking for and then purchase from a social media site. So if you are predominantly serving these types of clients, then you might want to start to think about making sure that you've got a shop on your social media, making sure that it's not just Google you're relying on, because Google actually has had a drop in what people are either researching or looking for. On Google, the only kind of ones that have increased is ideas, like hashtag ideas or in inverted commas ideas, and inspo. That's what's being looked at. Whereas on social media, that's where all the purchasing is starting to happen, and that's where all the big companies are putting their money. The other thing about tech, the relationship with tech changing, is cybersecurity. We've seen it here in Australia that we've had quite a number of cybersecurity breaches in some of our major organizations that have very sensitive material, and it got leaked. And the thing for you, if you run a business online, is that you need to make sure that you are doing your best duty of care to take care of people's data. And to do that, you're going to have to do a bit of research. So you're also going to have nice, tight legals in place. And I highly suggest talking to Michelle Whitehead, who's on the call right now. But Googling wherever you can to make sure that you have the best outcome for any sensitive data that you have. Also doing a duty of care check with the platforms that you are using as to where that data is actually going. Because if it does come down to it, we are, you are responsible for that. So with the relationship with tech changing and cybersecurity being an issue, we also have higher trust issues from our clients. So ensuring that you have something in place to either be nice and transparent about where that data is going, or to have a contingency plan, which is the next part of it, the business continuity plan or contingency plan, as to how you're going to describe that and explain that to a client or a potential client as well. So going on to the business continuity plans. Globally, we're seeing, and Australia especially, bless you all in the western areas of New South Wales, and of course, so many other, northern New South Wales copped at the beginning of this year. We had landslides, and also we've got flooding, we've got droughts still in certain areas, we've got thunderstorms, we've got, the weather events are causing serious problems to our electricity. They're also causing serious problems to the continuity of our business going while we're not there, while we're trying to pick up the pieces, change providers, do all sorts of things. And so business continuity plans are being spoken about on a larger scale for big organizations. And it's something to take into account if you're running a smaller organization yourself, or even a solopreneur. What's going to happen if you lose power, if you lose access to your internet, again, the cybersecurity side of things and things like that. If you are looking at being under the weather, we've got COVID plans that a lot of people have put in place for their events, but what about for your business? And also you want to have a bit more of an idea about if your staff, if you are a medium enterprise business, if your staff can't get there, they don't have tech or they don't have power. Thinking about moving into that hybrid zone, about other people having laptops, having everything on the cloud and backups, things like that, that you do have a continuity plan. And that's a document that you write down and you essentially have somewhere so that if something happens, you've thought about it before it happens. In my world, I call this Plan Z. And Plan Z is for the zombie apocalypse. I had to do it because of the events that I was running. So I would do plan A, it's all going to go to plan. Awesome. Plan B, you know, I can't get there, somebody else can't get there, you know, that kind of thing. Plan C was plan COVID in the COVID times. And then I went into plan Z. What if, could I flip it online? Could I do some other things? Could I ensure that there are multiple sites so that some site could be up and running? Is there something else? So this is the thing about creating a plan Z for you. You need to slow down and think about these things. It can't just go to the bottom of your list. And your legals can't go to the bottom of your list either. They do need to be there. They do need to be present on your website. And it's a time that's happening globally where contingency plans are needed because things are literally changing minute by minute. Change and pivoting is now a thing. It's just here to stay. And so how do we put some scaffolding up just to make sure that we're in a zone where we feel safe enough that if something was to occur, we've got at least a plan. All right. So yes, Deb, setting up shops has nearly driven us mad. You gave up. Yeah, some people have given up. It's often it's a really difficult thing to open, to close, to this, to that, to go online, to get offline, to change platforms and do all the things with that. So when it comes to looking after all these smaller elements, it is time to notice that. And summer is a really a great time to notice what your messaging in your legals is, what your messaging on your website is, so that those contingency plans do come up when people are booking for something, if they're going to come and see you. Oh, if you've got COVID, if you don't have COVID, if you da. And you'll start to notice that on booking systems. You'll start to notice it for yourself, but you've got to do that for your business as well. Michelle says, love asking, what else is possible? I'm an eternal optimist. And so when I get, what else is possible? I'm not really keen on that. But if somebody like me, if you are somebody like me, slowing down enough just to have the what else is possible conversation once and writing a plan out for it means that you just don't have to have it again. So I highly suggest it. Yeah, great. I love it. Beautiful. All right. When it comes to more global entrepreneurial themes, we've also got personalization. Personalization is a serious thing. Oh my goodness. Forbes, The Economist, The New Yorker, the every major magazine has, if you go in and type this in the search engine, often, and Futurist as well, personalization is the thing that's coming through, and you'll start to see why certain launch cycles, why certain things aren't working for people anymore. And part of it is personalization. And on the flip side, you'll start to notice the things that are working. And I don't know if you've seen it. It comes up on my socials. I don't know why. I don't buy makeup, but there's an app that is part of a beauty product, and it takes a picture using AI. It takes a picture of your face, and then it suggests the particular color of foundation based on the picture that you took. And then part of the customer process and customer experience is they suggest and invite that you show that on social media when you utilize it. And it's a really clever marketing tool, but it's also on point for what's actually happening in the world right now. So from a personalization perspective, things that you might want to consider is using AI, whether it's using a quiz that you have put on the front of your website so that people understand, oh, this is the thing on your website that'll work for me, or this is the area, or these are the blog posts that I need to look at, and I don't have to just, be engulfed in hours of your content. This is actually for me. She's picked it for me. I've done the quiz and it's said that I am unique and these are the things for me. You'll also see personalized medicine. I don't know, again, the clinicians who are watching, I'm sure that you've seen the little sachets, albeit they're not the greatest thing for the planet, but the plastic sachets that are specifically have the exact amount of daily vitamins and nutrients. And on the packet, it says the person's name. So similar thing. How can you personalize the medicine that you're giving out if you're a clinician? The choose your own adventure when it comes to courses. We're starting to see things like searchy.io. There's different ways in which you can categorize your courses, especially if you've got a lot of content on your courses or your programs. Ways in which you can search for what you're particularly looking for, interested in that day, when in part of a course that you've bought. And I know that comes up frequently for me because I buy really huge courses that I really I love going back to time and time again. So similar thing could happen for you. Preferences in learning styles. So starting to consider, do the clients that you see really like the hybrid nature of human to human contact? Personalization is also that human experience rather than dear first name, blah, 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 from blah. The personalized element of marketing at the moment is gangbusters with video. And there's an app that I used to use called Buzzaboo. Oh, I have to pop that up. And it, as soon as somebody signs up for your course, it sends you a link. You can do a video welcoming that particular person wherever you happen to be and send them a video specifically for it. You can also do that just use Loom or some other content creation kind of ones and send that email and be very specific for it, especially for the higher end products that you have. So video of human to human contact is really great for that personalization element if you're considering it as a content creator or creative. Last one our clinicians will know about is genetics. You want to start to notice that personalization in personalized medicine is a thing. So genetics as well as specific goals. So niching is a thing, but if you're talking about personalized health goals, personalized business goals, personalized attention for a human from a human rather than here's my course, you're going to get a lot more attention at the moment. Cool. Last one, authenticity and transparency. This is the same as it ever has been. Last spring, it was more a taboo kind of vibe. So how could you come across the taboo subjects, especially in the inclusion and diversity kind of aspect? But now it's authenticity and transparency around yourself and your business. One of the key examples of this is Peloton had an issue earlier on this year where, not an issue, a tragic accident where a 6-year-old ended up dying with one of their pieces of equipment. And it took them a month to recall the equipment. And it took them a month to do the recall via email, not say anything on social media. This is the thing, it was all over the news. Everybody knew about it, especially if you were in the Peloton community or knew somebody who's in the Peloton community. And everyone was asking the questions on social media, but there was no transparency. And this kind of hints in with the business continuity and contingency plans. Being on social media, especially, if that's an avenue for you in marketing, you need a contingency plan for getting attacked online, for getting cancelled online, for getting, cyber attacked online as well. That there needs to be transparency. There needs to be an immediate and authentic approach to what's occurred and your plan for what you're going to do about it moving forward. When they finally did, have that transparent conversation, it was too late for Peloton. They lost a lot of people doing that. So, yeah. Stop sharing. Where are we? Okay. Let me checking in. Deb, certain herbal tinctures are now in the chemist without any training. Yes, and that's fine. They can be there too. It doesn't have to be an either or situation. But the beauty of it is it gives you even more reason to show up in an even bigger way, talking about personalized medicine, talking about how your particular prescribing can help in very unique conditions and situations. So, yeah. CJ often writes on the herbal tonic bottles a wee affirmation. I used to do the same for their specific brew. And oh, I love that. Beautiful. All right. Okie dokie. Now we're going to go into the vibe of what's happening over the next 3 months. Very exciting. If you have any questions, pop them in there, and I will pop round to answering them as we go through. Alrighty. Oh, last thing I wanted to say on the personalization thing. Everybody has a unique programming, a unique way that their brain goes when they feel lack and when they feel not abundant. And with the world in hearing the words inflation and recession and downturn pretty much every day, if you have any access to news or anything else, it's really easy to think that that's a problem. And it's really easy to take it on yourself. But what happened back in 2001 when a really big downturn happened was a thing that they started to describe as the lipstick index. And Estee Lauder started to notice that when people went scarce and they didn't have a lot of money to spare, they would go and do their shopping, but the index of lipsticks, a seemingly luxury item, especially the expensive ones, Estee Lauder ones, people would go out and treat themselves. And through going out and treating themselves, it was a really obvious sign or symptom that there was a downturn because they were treating themselves in certain areas. What they've found in the past 12 months especially is this economic downturn has actually boosted beauty and clothing, especially quality clothing or clothing that or beauty that have a social impact. And again, this might be something useful for you if you have any offering, a retreat, a course, or anything, and part of that percentage of that goes to a social impact cause, then you have the opportunity not only to make a social impact, but also utilize that to share your values, and the clients that you are going to see or that are going to buy from you can share the same values by purchasing from you. Same thing goes with health. People are putting their health first, especially men are actually spending more money, excess money on health things, as well as food delivery. So if you happen to have something that is in your offering that happens to be delivered, then it's another option there too. All right. The vibes for the next 3 months. December's vibes. We are currently in Gemini and Sag season. I'm actually a Gemini and Sagittarius rising. If astrology isn't your thing, that's okay. It's just something to feel, something to notice, get a sense of. Not be in your head about necessarily, but start to notice where people are using these themes and how you could use them in your business to capture new clients or reinvigorate old ones, or how you could use it to apply to your business. So ambition is one of the big ones. There are people looking consistently during December for new jobs. They're looking at new career paths, new ways of looking at university, what they could do next steps, next level, that kind of stuff. The next one is exploration, and being a Sagittarius rising, exploration is a really big deal for us, and high fives to all my traveler buddies out there. Traveling is huge on the cards, but exploration doesn't just mean traveling on the outside, although there are a lot of people booking their large rocks for 2023. So for instance, we've got our big summit convergence in Bali in the middle of next year, and we've already got people booked on that, and so 10% of them are actually booked on that already. And so there is a way that we're exploring the world again, but we're also exploring different options when it comes to the way that we want to explore the world, the way we want to travel, places that we might like to go that we might not have wanted to before. And the same thing, exploration internally. What are places and spaces inside ourselves that we would like to explore? What are hobbies that we want to bring back or let go of to make way for new ones? What's the exploration that you might consider for December? Last one for December is communication and the start of summer. Summer is messaging, marketing, and your community. And messaging, marketing, and your community all involve communication. You can't get away from it. It is finding the words or finding somebody who can find the words or get the words out of you as to what magic you create in the world. And once you embody those words, once you are able to articulate what you do, how you do it, what value exchange you have, they're a spell. And I'm not going to apologize for it. A spell is a captivating and conviction in what, and a commitment in what you're saying, and it is manifest out instead of it being a quiet little bunch of energy rolling around in your brain as a thought. You've actually committed to saying it. It turns into something out in the real world outside of yourself, especially if you're discussing it with others. So communication and using your words as a spell, as an incantation for something to manifest is one of the things for December. So consider and be careful what you say, and be considerate of the words that you say to yourself as well, because they're a spell too. The theme is reflect, and tonight's full moon, just in case you are watching on the full moon in Gemini, is about reflecting. I highly, highly suggest and invite you to go and write down or look at the photos on your phone, especially over the past 12 months. You will be shocked, because I was the other day, shocked at what you have achieved, what were challenges for you that you have got through or that have just come up that, are consistently changing and you're showing up for, and ways in which you've grown this year. So reflecting and exploring, so growing and finding the mirrors around you, whether those mirrors are in your photos or they're people that are showing up for you and mirroring exactly what you need to hear in these spaces of communication and exploration. Cool. January. After the silly season is over and done with, there are three themes for January. The first one is time travel, and time travel is not as wacky as it sounds. Time travel is all of us have the capacity of using our minds as a time traveling device, and we do it every day. We just don't call it time traveling. And what we do is we stop and we go, oh, that's happened to me in the past. And then our body, our nervous system goes, oh, that's right, that's how I felt in the past. And then we apply it to what we've got today. We do it unconsciously all the time. We also time travel into the future. Oh, what would that be like to own that house? What would that be like to look at the ocean instead of what would it be like to climb a giant mountain in Nepal? We do the future thing, we do the past thing, we time travel consistently. But the point of this time travel in January, given the moon and the astrology and some of the elements that are happening around the world globally, is to learn from your past self to future-proof yourself. This comes in with the contingency plans, it comes in with understanding communication styles, what's worked in your business from an entrepreneurial cycle perspective, but it's utilizing this in the time frame of January, especially to give a full reflection on what's been happening in your life or your previous lives and previous careers and before then, what's been happening there that you don't need to take on for the rest of 2023, that you can just lovingly leave behind as a lesson. And instead, future-proof yourself that if any of this stuff comes up, any of these relationships, any of these challenging conversations, any of these little trip-me-ups before I, go next level, that you can future-proof yourself so that that doesn't have to be part of your new programming for 2023. The next one is creativity. January is an amazing vibe for creating something new. Although the season of spring is generally a creative zone, this middle of January is going to be quite a creative state. And there's going to be a lot of what seems to be a vortex. Seems to be a creative vortex. You'll go into it. I paint, so sometimes I just get in it. Bit of flow state thing, and then out of it. And for some of you, that creativity shows up in your spreadsheets. It shows up in your website design. It shows up in finally getting the words that you needed for your about page. It might show up as creating a new course or a new lesson, a new webinar, whatever it happens to be. But there'll be something creative that you can dive into and then come out of. It'll be a vortex in and out. Lastly, the other theme for January is patience, and some of you might have experienced this year. I sure have. That there are times where you get into this wonderful vortex of yumminess, and then all of a sudden you've just got to wait. For those of you who are on a healing journey, it's such a lesson. Embracing your pace is such a lesson, and it comes back around time and time again for me. And I feel you, but it's worth it in the end. Starting from a foundation of slowing down to speed up at the beginning of the year is going to help you tenfold, 12-fold for the whole year. So that's a lesson for January. February, the vibes are very emotional. We're going from, Pisces and Aquarius season. They're all water, and into air. So there's a lot of emotions that are going to fly around in February. So if you are going to launch something from a business perspective, I would totally do it in January, because there's a lot more creative vibes and a lot more communication vibes and other stuff. And whereas February, you're going to start to have people are going to be a little bit more hefty online. They're all going to be throwing this stuff at you. They really want to do really big things and not quite live comfortably. And this is the thing about February for us personally. We want to be happy and grateful for the living comfortably, and not sweating the small stuff. The small things and the small details don't have to get into our bigger vision of things. The other thing about February is it's a really great time to flirt with big ideas. The full moon in February is Leo, which is big new ideas and your mane of hair, flirting with the big things, but not necessarily going full pelt into it, because there's that emotional element. But March will be closer to the offering, because that's the autumn time, right? So any insights from where we were there, or any questions? The thing about this is it gives you a general kind of way of considering what might be helpful and what might be hindering you for those particular months. And just like picking a word for the year or a theme for the year. And if you haven't done that yet, I find them really interesting. Not every year a word drops in for me, but when it does, it gives me all of the challenges that I need. So sometimes that means, the year that I chose courage, I was in the most fearful situations that I could be in, but I learnt heaps of courage from it. And other times it might be something different. So picking a theme for the year is very similar to the themes and the vibes that are going around in the coming months. So if you have any questions, just pop them in. Lastly, before we go, if you want to join us for a whole year of this, not only can you go and get Unrestricted, the book, but Unrestricted the year happens in my circles, and it means you get a monthly call, and we check in on the new moon or the full moon to get the vibes of what's actually going on, and then we do actual coaching. So anything that's coming up for you personally or professionally, we coach it live. Get it all out there and get that growth mechanism kind of kicking off, and that cycle continuing rather than stagnating and stopping your flow. We have accountability and connection in a private community that's off Facebook, where we connect basically every day if you want to. And when things come up, and then we've got seasonal training videos and expert interviews from some of my friends who are millionaires, artists, incredible humans doing amazing work in social impact, and huge travelers, and I've done crazy things with audiovisual and all sorts of other stuff. Um, and we also have a quarterly retreat, and that retreat happens wherever you happen to be in the world, because we have people joining us from wherever they happen to be in the world. Some people have joined us from their caravans, others have joined us from 5-star hotels, wherever you happen to be. And it's a check-in similar to this one, but it goes for 3 whole days, and you get an amazing VIP gift box that we work through and get creative about what's coming up. So you're invited, and it's a 2-for-1 special at the moment. Every full moon there's a 2-for-1 special. So if you can find somebody, it ends up being a really great year. If you want to find me elsewhere, you can find me at Tammy Guests with an S on the end, and follow me for any of the behind the scenes and the authentic and real and vulnerable that I share in all those places and spaces. Otherwise, I hope I see you somewhere in the world. It has been an absolute pleasure to be with you for an hour today. I don't take lightly that you have shared your time with me. And if you are on this call, there's a special playbook coming out, and before the end of the year. So it's free for all of you. I'm really excited to get it out there. I've been working with my team on it, and it's something that I do a check-in with every month, so that I can see where I'm coming from and where I'm going to, and areas that I want to focus in. And it doesn't just take in the business aspect, it does take in your whole life, because they're all interwoven. There isn't anything that's set apart from another. So it's coming to you in your inbox as a thank you and a gift, to celebrate the end of the year, and to, just hopefully be of benefit to you in your next phases moving forward. All right. Thank you guys so very, very much for hanging out today. I hope that you take one action from something you have heard and apply it to your business or your life, and it changes the trajectory of whatever you are taking on board in summer. I hope you have an amazing summer if you're here in the Southern Hemisphere. I hope you have amazing, courageous conversations. Show up exactly as you are. Communicate as clearly as you are hoping to feel present to the love that's around you. And I hope you're in receiving mode for all of that as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you in real life or on the interwebs. See you guys.